So it was very close to April, and that, of course, is when the holiday year ends. And I had quite a lot of holiday left, so I said to Lukey B, Luke, how many days of holiday do you have left? And Luke said, I've got quite a few, you know. So we thought, okay, it's time to go on a cycling holiday. Now, how did we choose? We just looked at the flights, we looked at the maps, we looked at everything like that, and we settled on Malaga. So this is a video from our rides in Malaga.
Well, it was warm for the first 2 days, then rainy for the third day, and warm again for the fourth day. The sun was shining, the views were good, the climbs were epic, and the company was decent.
The company was decent? What do you mean by bike rental hire? What do you mean me?
You know what I mean.
Well, you were definitely trying your best to not be in my company up the climbs, Luke.
I've got the GoPro on.
But on the descents, you didn't want my company either.
What a shame about this rainy day where we have to stay inside them. We hired our bikes from Eat Sleep Cycle, which is just to the north bit of the centre of Malaga. I had help me out here, Luke, it was a Basso Venta R.
105 mechanical.
105 mechanical, which I really enjoyed. Did have my saddle a bit high on the first day, but that was completely my own fault. But that got really sorted for day 2. And Luke was riding a Ridley Fenix.
It was a Ridley Fenix with 105 mechanical as well. Nice group set, 1130 foot rear.
The guys in the shop were really helpful, really nice. We believe their names are Chris and Pat, so thank you to them.
The stores were well equipped. They had a really nice selection of jerseys and bib shorts available there too. So tempting, in fact, I ended up buying one.
And a cap.
Yeah, and a cap. Very unique. Nice bright colours, so looking forward to wearing that when I get back and on some more trips.
What you've been watching so far is our day 1 ride, which was up at Puerto Leon to start, which is just north of Malaga, about 15k, 900 metres. Then we descended off, which is now, followed by 2 more climbs. Up the main ascent, Puerto Leon, we had a guy with us who we only realised close to the top he was on an e-bike, so we are.
And then after the Puerto Leon, we rode up to Comares for lunch. Another climb.
Bocadillos for €8.
Really good value. So we definitely recommend.
And the views as well. Wow.
And the views were lovely. And then we had another descent before our final climb of the day.
Yeah, and then we went down to the coast, and I don't recommend the coast. This now is day 2. So day 2, the Horsham jerseys had to come out. So Lukey B and I were both in our Horsham kit. And we were heading over to El Torcal. This is the beginning when we're going kind of through a gorge or just up the valley essentially. And so the lovely views. Managed to get some of Lukey B as well. Luke had the GoPro attached to the front of his bike, so unfortunately most of the footage is of me. Only when I could ride with one hand I could get videos of Luke, so it's not much about, unfortunately. Sorry, Luke.
That's all right. The Torcal was the biggest climb in the area, topping out at just over 1,200 metres, so we could say that it was in fact a proper mountain, unlike some of the others.
Yeah, true, it definitely felt like it, didn't it?
It was super steep, super long climb as well.
What was quite scary is that all of the beginning of the ride, so the footage you're seeing now, we could actually see the Torcal in the distance, and it looked like a giant, and we knew that we were going to the top of that, so that was a little bit scary as we were going along. We're getting very close to it now. That's a nice bend, isn't it? There was quite a long drag even before we got to the start of the climb. Now we're on it. Now Luke was significantly ahead of me on this one, so we've got some footage of Luke going up the Torcal. Look at the rocks. What do you think of the climb, Luke?
The climb was really steep, unrelenting pretty much all the way up. The last 3 kilometres were really tough as the top of the surface had a little bit of like a gravel to it as well, just to make things a little tricky.
That's bumpy.
But the view at the top was definitely worth it, and the rock formations were pretty spectacular.
A geologist's dream, or geographer's dream. And then we decided to do this other little climb called El Repetidor, which we noticed on the maps because there's lots of hairpins. It's a very, very small road, which we're coming onto now.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of sheep's muck at the top as you got towards the telecom towers.
It's the first thing I said when I got to the top. Is this called Sheep Shit Road? As you can see, it was quite steep.
Not quite as steep as the main climb, I'd have to say.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't get any footage of me going up that, to be honest. And then obviously we had a pretty good descent down it before some, I guess, rolly roads on our way back.
The valleys here were a lot greener than when we did the climbs the day before. A lot more arid sort of ground.
Yeah. So this is now day 3. This is the rainy day. So we're going to have a much shorter ride on this day because the rain or storms were due to set in around 12. So we decided just to go on the Puerto Leon and back.
Yeah, we'd done this climb already on day 1, but decided we enjoyed it so much and it was so close, we didn't have to weave through the town to get there. So just decided, let's go for it. We hadn't descended it yet, so in order to be able to descend it, we had to go up it first.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's the key point, isn't it? It's such a nice wide road with sweeping bends, and we really wanted to go down it. And as Luke says, got to go up to go down. So we are. We made it to the top. Again, Luke was ahead of me, so not much footage of me going up it. And yeah, here we go. Enjoy the descent. At some point down this descent, you can actually spot a EF education pro cyclist. So see if you can see that.
Yeah.
We did manage to get back into Malaga before the rain started. You can kind of see the clouds. I promise you it was raining very hard later. We went out for a bocadillo for lunch and got absolutely drenched. This is a representation of the roads coming into Malaga, which if you know your way in and out, are completely fine. We don't recommend going along the coast in either direction because that was very traffic lighty.
Very traffic lighty, and also difficult to navigate if you don't know the roads. So being in the north of Malaga, out to the Puerto de Leon is by far one of the easiest roads out.
Yeah, because it's nice and quick there. Day 4, ride 4, was our final day in Malaga. We had a flight to catch in the evening, so we had a shorter and slightly flatter ride planned. Now, on the Puerto Leon and the Torcal and all the other long steep climbs, I have to say Luke was significantly ahead of me, so I had something to prove on this final day, and I have a history of doing well on the last day of the holiday. So this climb suited me very well because it was less steep, and yeah, I had a good one. So I did manage to get to the top of this one first, which Luke managed to conveniently forget about in his Strava title, that we only rode along the coast and forgot about the hill. But here is evidence that there was actually a hill on today's ride before our coastal flat ride. This one was called the Subida Olias, which was 7.5k, gradient 6%, so gained 471 metres of elevation during the climb. After a break and a snack at the top, time to head down the descent. This one had such nice views of the valley. Because of the rain the night before, we had to take it pretty cautiously. The road slightly damp. But yeah, this was probably one of my favourite descents. It went down in steps as opposed to a steady downward gradient. There were hills along it, but it was lovely.
Taking this very careful.
Although Malaga isn't the most well-known of the cycling destinations in Europe, the likes of Mallorca, Calpe, Girona, Tenerife, Lanzarote, for example, are probably more well-known because of the flight availability from the UK, as well as how far south it is and how close Malaga is to the airport as well, and because of the rides available, the mountains, the roads. We came back thinking that Malaga actually is a very nice place to go on a cycling trip from the UK. And then it was onto the coast road, which was okay. I mean, it was nice views of the sea, but there were quite a lot of traffic lights. It was reasonably busy. So I think you'd have to go quite a long way out of Malaga, probably further than what we did, to really enjoy the coast road. Up towards Nerja is probably nicer, but we didn't quite get that far. So although it was nice to do some flat riding and see the sea, the amount of traffic lights made it not as good as the mountains and roads inland. So we definitely recommend those over the coast. But we still had some fun doing some turns, although most of it we just rode steady, mainly because of how often we had to stop. Activated the TT mode for one section, which was very difficult to stay in the wheel for. Here's some evidence of the traffic lights, and then of course we had to have the final stage finish, the finish line of the holiday, which I forgot to tell Luke about.
Did I forget to mention that was the finish of the holiday?